in all the systems that people need. Food systems that can reach all people with affordable, nutritious, sustainably produced food. Universally accessible health systems that can deliver care and medicine to every person, no matter where they live or how much they earn. Water and sanitation systems that deliver clean water to all. Adequate, affordable housing. Energy systems that are clean, reliable, and accessible to all, powering development and jobs. Education systems capable of reaching every child and young person with quality education and skills, underpinned by well-trained and supported teachers. Universal social protection systems that can support people when they need it, and reliable, robust, and disaggregated data to track out progress. And progress also depends on investing in the future of our planet. Governments must arrive at the upcoming COP30 meeting in Brazil with concrete plans to slash their own emissions over the next decade, while also delivering climate justice to those on the front lines of a crisis they did little to cause. Just look at Jamaica. The clean energy revolution means it is possible to cut emissions while growing economies. But developing countries still lack the finance and technologies needed to support their transitions. In Brazil, countries must agree on a credible plan to mobilize $1.6 trillion annually in climate finance by 2035 for developing countries. And developed countries must honor their commitments to double finance for adaptation to at least $40 billion this year. And the Loss and Damage Fund needs to be capitalized with significant contributions. Second, a people's plan requires a laser focus on job creation and employment. In every country, governments and the private sector must join forces to promote decent work, living wages, and pathways for workers to transition from the informal economy to jobs in the green, digital, and care economies. Investments in training, skills development, and lifelong learning are essential. As called for by the Global Digital Compact adopted last year, countries should focus on closing the digital divide, achieving universal digital connectivity, and ensuring all people can gain skills in digital technology and artificial intelligence. Creating and sustaining jobs also requires countries to diversify their economies and enhance local processing and innovation to add value and compete in global trade. Any job creation efforts must also ensure women have equal access to jobs while increasing support for care economies. Throughout, we need to strengthen labor protections so profits never come at the expense of workers' rights. Third, a people's plan requires financing. At June's Financing for Development Conference in Sevilla, leaders committed to unlocking more finance for developing countries. National governments must lead the way by mobilizing their own domestic resources. And we also need to triple the lending power of multilateral development banks that need to be bigger and bolder, and more able to leverage private finance for developing countries. We also need to ease debt burdens with new instruments to reduce borrowing costs and risks and speed up support for countries facing debt distress. The global financial architecture must be reformed so it better represents today's world and the needs of developing countries. Developing countries need and deserve stronger participation at the decision-making table across global financial institutions. And global economic governance must become more inclusive, representative, equitable, and effective. Your Majesties, Your Highnesses, Excellencies. Enfin, un plan.
Finally, a plan designed for the people to bring them together Too many people have been left behind, in particular women, minorities, migrants and refugees, elder persons, indigenous peoples, disabled persons and young people. Many are subject to prejudice, threats, poor treatment, and even demonstrable acts of violence, be this at home, in their workplaces, in the streets, or online. Governments must defend and protect democratic values, ensuring that the voices of all people, including the most vulnerable, whatever be their age or background, be heard. They must continue to lift obstacles to the participation of women, from boards in businesses to political power, and eliminate all forms of discrimination and gender-based violence. There is a need to focus on the needs for a more active presence of women in new technologies. There is a need for AI algorithms not to become bastions of male chauvinism. At all times and in all places, human voices, human rights, at all times and in all places, human rights will remain our compass and will show us the way towards justice and a future peace for all people. Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, this summit is placed under the sign of hope, hope with collective action. There's a need to mobilize political will and necessary financial resources to pursue the voyage that we have started together and did so 30 years ago in Copenhagen. We have the Doha Declaration, and thanks to this, we are going to achieve this far-reaching plan because humanity is calling for it and deserves it. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary General. I invite His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, in his capacity as host country, to address the Assembly.
In
the name of God, most compassionate, most merciful, Your Excellency, the President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency, the Secretary General, Your Majesty, Your Highness, Your Excellencies, peace be upon you. At the outset, I would like to welcome you all to Doha, wishing you a pleasant stay. The State of Qatar takes pride in hosting this summit, which is held 30 years after the first summit in Copenhagen in 1995. This is an occasion to reiterate the spirit of solidarity and international cooperation, to address challenges that hinder economic development and slows down human development, a matter that threatens social security. We do believe in the importance of collective work on matters that should not cause divergence. And we are keen to enhance social development and to support international efforts to eradicate poverty, increase job opportunities, and to take all efforts necessary to uphold human dignity to achieve a better and more equitable future for all. In this occasion, we do commend the efforts made by Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, which represent his interest in developing the work of the United Nations organization. We would like also to thank the DESA at the United Nations for the efforts made towards the coordination and organization of this summit. Dear guests, social development is not a choice, it's an existential necessity, and whilst we celebrate this year the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, we should take the opportunity of this summit to reiterate and to recommit ourselves to the Charter of the United Nations and multilateral efforts, together with doubling down on our efforts to enshrine social development as a main foundation for security and stability for all. At the national level, the state of Qatar has attached special importance to social development and has achieved clear progress according to the indications issued and published by competent international organizations, and we work on improving the quality of life, welfare, and prosperity, in addition to developing education, economic empowerment, health and family care, as well as social protection. The state of Qatar, through the Ministry of Family and Social Development, has launched its 2024-2025 strategy under the slogan "From Care to Empowerment," which is based on creating a community and a society that is based on the equality of opportunities, and which comes in line with the 2030 vision of the state. At the international level, we are cognizant of the fact that challenges hinder social development, as poverty and social inequality and unemployment. All this calls upon us to make consolidated efforts, and we cooperate closely with the United Nations in this regard, and we have spared no efforts towards honoring our undertakings and our commitments towards this goal. The state of Qatar will continue to be an active partner in the international community, and we will continue to support all efforts of social development through the aids and contributions made by Qatar to several countries and societies through the Qatar Development Fund and the Qatar Charity Association. Dear guests, the bare minimum that we need in order to show seriousness in our addressing all these challenges, such as challenges related to environment and human rights, is to uphold our commitments. When it comes to social development, this needs to translate the commitments that we have made as countries in the Copenhagen Declaration. This should be translated into reality by addressing the gaps in the implementation of those commitments, and to give priority to out-of-the-box and creative solutions, in addition to building partnerships and to be persistent on the road of achieving the 2030 agenda. The Doha Declaration that was adopted in this summit is the fruit of relentless efforts and unwavering work, as well as consultations that were held in New York, and it is an ambitious document towards the achievement of the desired social development. And in this regard, we would like to commend the efforts of Belgium and Morocco and the United Nations for their efforts towards the facilitation of intergovernmental consultations and negotiations. And we are confident that the Doha Declaration, which reiterates and stresses the moral and socio-economic vision of social development that is based on human dignity and human rights, as well as equality and peace, will give impetus and momentum that accelerates the achievement of the 2030 agenda, and this will represent a roadmap and a robust foundation to address all social development issues, especially poverty, unemployment, and social exclusion. It's impossible to achieve social development in any societies without peace and stability, and we do believe that constant peace and not temporary settlements is just peace. And it's very obvious, it goes without saying, that the Palestinian people need all forms of aid to be able to recover from the devastation that was caused by the Israeli occupation and the apartheid system in Palestine. We call upon the international community to double down on its efforts and to provide support to the Palestinian people for reconstruction and to secure the basic needs for this resilient people until justice is administered and until they manage to exercise their legitimate rights on their territories. When it comes to peace and stability, when it comes to peace and stability, I would like to conclude by saying and by mentioning that we were shocked by the atrocities that were committed in Al-Fashir in the Sudan, where we, in need for another piece of evidence to recognize that any manipulation of stability in countries will eventually lead to such shocks and catastrophes and carnage. The Sudan has been going through this carnage and manslaughter for 2.5 years. It's high time we stopped this carnage. We need to achieve a political solution that achieves the territorial integrity and stability of the Sudan. Dear guests, our success will only be measured by our ability to represent and to translate our commitments to tangible procedures, which are translated into social development for all, especially in developing countries. And together we can transform this summit into an important juncture that gives rise to steps that would eventually contribute to transferring and translating our slogans of peace and prosperity into a lived reality. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my welcoming of you to Doha, and I wish that this summit would lead to its desired goals. Thank you, and peace be upon you.
I thank the Emir of the State of Qatar for his speech and for hosting this summit. I give the floor to His Excellency Lok Bahadur Tapar, President of the Economic and Social Council.
Madam President, Your Highness, Amir of the State of Qatar, heads of the state and government, honorable ministers, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and privilege for me to join in the opening of the Second World Summit for Social Development. I thank the State of Qatar for hosting this summit, and I am grateful to His Highness, the Amir of the State of Qatar, for his leadership and hospitality. I also thank my colleagues, His Excellency Omar Hilale, permanent representative of Morocco, and Her Excellency Sophia De Smith, permanent representative of Belgium, for skillfully steering the negotiation that led to the Doha political declarations. Their work has resulted in a balanced and forward-looking declaration that embodies our shared commitment to advancing social development. Excellencies, since the Copenhagen Summit 30 years ago, the world has seen extraordinary social and economic progress. People are healthier, they are more educated, and they are more connected than ever before. Yet, we are still far from reaching the SDGs. Only 35% of the SDG target are on the track. and governments are grappling with diminishing opportunities for meaningful employment, widening inequalities, and growing insecurities. On this, the Doha Declarations is a milestone. It underscores the urgency of strengthening the social dimension of social development. And it calls for actions on three interrelated priorities: ending poverty, ensuring full and productive employment and decent work for all, and promoting social inclusion. Excellencies, over 800 million people still live in extreme poverty. In addition, billions live very close to the poverty line. Even a minor shock, a sudden illness, an unexpected expense, the loss of a job, or a climate-induced disasters can send them into poverty. Informal employment continues to affect over 80% of workers in Africa and 70% of workers in Asia. Income and wealth are increasingly concentrated at the top. Today, the world's richest 1% of the populations own more wealth than 95% of humanity combined. Nearly 2 billion people globally remain uncovered or inadequately protected social protections, without the safety nets that cushion shocks, preserve dignity, and enable resilience in the face of crisis. And societies are increasingly divided and polarized. Confidence and trust in institutions seem to be eroding. Distrust fueled by misinformation and disinformation fractures social cohesion and undermines our ability to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Addressing these myriad issues lies at the heart of the mandate of the Economic and Social Council. Excellencies, the 80th anniversary of the Council is an opportunity to renew our joint commitment to its enduring values: cooperation among nations, inclusive development, and the dignity of every person. Those principles have guided the Economic and Social Council since 1945. They continue to define our work today. The 5-year review process agreed in the Doha Declarations provides an important opportunity to measure progress and renew momentum. The General Assembly will lead that effort, and the ECOSOC system will support it by bringing together governments, UN systems, stakeholders to translate shared commitments into actions. The role of the Commissions for Social Development will be pivotal in this regard. We should spare no effort in establishing ECOSOC forums and segments provide important opportunities to connect global policy with actions on the ground. Excellencies, under Nepal's presidency, ECOSOC is advancing global cooperations on food systems, financing for development, climate resilience, and digital inclusion and youth entrepreneurship. Issues that underpin poverty, education, decent work, and social inclusion. Our policy guidance support implementations at the local, national, and regional levels, strengthening the government's efforts. The UN system's analytical and evidence-based support runs throughout the Council's work, and providing space for the diverse voices of stakeholders, including youth, women, and persons with disabilities. We ensure that our deliberations are rooted in the realities on the ground. These strengths will be fully mobilized to advance the commitments we make here in Doha. ECOSOC will continue to work with member states, the UN systems and partners to ensure that the Doha declarations translates into tangible progress in people's lives. Let us carry forward the spirit of Doha with unity of purpose and shared determination to build societies rooted in dignity, opportunity, and inclusion for all. I thank you.
I thank the President of the Economic and Social Council. We've heard the last speaker in this opening segment. Before giving the floor to the first speaker on the list of speakers, delegations are reminded that statements are limited to 5 minutes. I would like to appeal to speakers to deliver their statements at a reasonable pace so that interpretation into the other official languages may be provided properly. As members are aware, pursuant to Resolution 78/318, in addition to the plenary meetings, the summit will have 2 high-level roundtables. The first roundtable will start this afternoon at 3 p.m. I invite, now my microphone is not, I invite His Excellency Abdul Latif Jamal Rashid, President of the Republic of Iraq, on behalf of the Group of 77 and China, to address the Assembly.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegations, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to deliver this statement on behalf of Group 77 and China. First and foremost, the group takes this opportunity to thank the co-chairs of the intergovernmental process and the permanent representatives of the Kingdom of Morocco and Belgium for their leadership, tireless efforts, and thoughtful guidance throughout this process. The group also conveys its sincere appreciations to the State of Qatar, its leadership,